It is September 16th, 2013, and my co host went AWOL for a few minutes, so you're just going to have to deal with me. We are discussing a trip that was made this weekend to a lovely little fort, the fort that saved America, Fort Mifflin. God, that makes me dizzy. And we are joined this evening by our guest, Misha. Hi, Misha.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm getting dizzy with these glasses on. So, did you guys have fun?
We had a ball. Perfect weather. Couldn't have ordered better weather. Especially considering the last time we were there and what happened. It was a fantastic time.
Yeah, I'd like you to notice that I wasn't there last time when the storms came, and
Yeah.
I wasn't there this time, but it was lovely weather, so it's not me.
I never said it was
You
you.
did too on your show. It's recorded, woman.
I never called out names.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yep. It's all Kim's fault.
No.
Not my fault.
Nope. Even though you were there for the snowstorm, too.
I was there for the snowstorm, and I was there for the hurricane. But
But,
there is a particular person who was also there both times.
yep.
And so it's not me, because when I go up there and that particular person isn't there, it's always lovely.
Yes. Yes. I know what.
So,
Her.
yeah. Not my fault.
Well, you have to get picked on sometime
Oh, I get picked
because
on.
it's such fun. That's what we do. We pick on one another.
I get picked on all the time.
Yeah. So,
And we were actually having a. Don't make me turn my head. And we were. And we were actually trying to figure out who was the cause of it there for a while, and it took a few trips before we figured out who it was.
well, it's definitely known now.
Because I was blamed for the the blizzard, then I was blamed for the hurricane, but
And then we just figured you said the monsoon over. Why not?
why not?
We are wicked.
Yeah, according to everybody and their brother in the last 2 years, I'm Wiccan, so apparently I'm just bringing it in with me.
I've heard that rumor myself. Yes.
Oh goodness, it came through again today.
Did it?
Yeah, someone came in. So, is this a regular shop or a Wiccan shop?
You need to get somebody that does wood engraving and get yourself a little old sign that says, "No, I'm not Wiccan."
No, actually, I was thinking of putting a big sign in the parking lot that says, I'm not Wiccan, but if you change a letter, I can be.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. I'm not Wiccan. I'm not a witch.
Yeah, it's okay. I guess it's... I can't say it's the shop, because it all started before the shop.
Yeah, it's not. It's anybody that does paranormal, tarot readings, mediumship readings. People just assume all of us are Wiccans. I don't know. Usually, everything has its little category that people just assume things are. Tarot cards are witchcraft. It's this, it's that.
Well,
Now they all consume it into Wiccan. There she is.
the strangest part about it is I was asked by a pagan today. So, yeah.
Yeah, you're probably starting to feel like a broken record.
I They ask, I just smile and start giggling. That's all I can do.
It's gonna get old.
It already is, but
It's only up at the store, what, a month now?
2 months.
2 months. Has it been 2 months? Okay. Wow, time flies. Yeah, you wait till the end of the year.
Yeah, I'll wait till after Halloween when I take the
You're
witch
gonna,
off my dressing room.
you're gonna get that sign put up.
Well, hi, Mary. So nice of you to join us.
I thought I'd drop by, see what was going on. You know.
Nice.
That's so kind of you.
I know. Thank God for your extra laptop you have laying around. It's pulled me out of more situations lately than not. So,
Wait. Before we get started, I have to show you this, Mary.
Okay.
Your boyfriend got his Halloween costume.
Did he really?
He did.
Oh, he's so cute.
Say hi to Mary and then go night-night.
Hi, Spanky. I'm surprised the other one hasn't popped up yet. So, what did I miss? The big introduction? Did you get the drum roll?
No, I did.
Okay. Oh, dang. Okay.
We had drum rolls over at the fort.
Yes, we did. And Kim, I just thought I left my singing bowl upstairs. Maybe I can use Vinny's head.
Ding! No, that
Anyway,
would be more like hitting a coconut or a melon.
Okay. So did we get into anything about the fort yet?
No,
It did not.
we were waiting
Because
on you.
Kim's not responsible for the weather.
That's right. I'm not responsible for the weather.
That's right. And it was absolutely gorgeous. A little bit on the crisp side, but I kind of liked it.
Hey, it's 93 here. Want to trade?
Ah,
No, I'd rather have the chill that was there this weekend rather than that heat.
oh yeah. You know, before the show, I did a little bit more research on Fort Mifflin. And, you know, we've had Lorraine Irby on a few times. She's been a very popular guest for us. And when she comes on, I always learn something. But I kind of learned some new things tonight, too. So I think they're constantly updating that, what is it, Wikipedia? I'm always glancing at that, and I'm like, ooh. So I'd like to do a little bit of timeline on the fort for everybody. And sorry for those who have heard about the fort 8 million times, but now you're going to hear about it 8,000,001 times.
And you'll like it.
Yeah, you'll like it, or else you're going to get my singing bowl. I should go get Rick to go get it, because we can't really start the show without our singing bowl.
Right?
Anyway, in 1771, Fort Mifflin was commissioned. It was built as a defense for the city of Philadelphia because, let's face it, we knew we were going to have some issues with the British, and with the Delaware River there, you needed some form of defense. Unfortunately, they took the fort in 1777, pummeled it to the ground, but in doing so, those guys, the army that was there, they really fought off the Brit. I think they were getting, what was it, Kim, like 1,000 cannonballs an hour being shot at the fort?
Yep.
It was some ungodly amount. But they defended, and they enabled George Washington to get himself and his troops that were really battered to Valley Forge to kind of rest up and get better, you know, during the winter time, so they could go back and go get the British, so that we are who we are today. So it is known as the fort that saved America. In 1794, obviously, we got the fort back again, and they decided to rebuild it because it was such a great location. It was used during the Civil War as it held prisoners, not only Confederate, but also Union soldiers. And Misha, you got to go through all of the casemates, and what the casemates are is it's inside the walls of the fort, scooped out, and they're made into prison cells. Actually, I wouldn't call them cells, but
It was like rooms.
Yeah, more like caves. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I almost got the feeling, and everybody that goes there, and Kim, you've been there too. You actually can now say, yes, I've been to Fort Mifflin because I drug you there last year.
Yep.
Especially the powder mag. It's almost like a bomb shelter.
Well, the powder mags they paid me a dime.
That's right. Well, you were worth more like a 50-cent piece, but, you know, I'm not going to go there.
Well, back then a dime was big money.
Yeah, it was. It was. And Misha doesn't know what we're talking about. We'll get into that in a little bit. 1962, it was decommissioned, and it went over to the city of Philadelphia, where the Philadelphia Historical Society took it over, and they've been working on it ever since. I don't have the date when they found casemate 11, but they knew it was there. Casemate 11 is what was considered solitary confinement. It was built in the ground. It was far away. It was a good distance away from the actual casemates, and they did that for a reason, I guess, because solitary confinement is you don't have any, connection with anybody else. So they knew it was there. They weren't quite sure where it was. And Wayne Irby was kind of cruising around the yard there. I don't know if he was mowing or what he was doing, and he found a sinkhole, and it got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's when they found casemate 11. And that's been a good 5 or 6 years ago, maybe a little bit longer.
I think it was 2009.
Okay, and that's not that far away. And later they fixed it up, because it was kind of dilapidated and falling apart, and they did do a lot of work to it to enable all of us to go and visit and see actual solitary confinement, which I get uncomfortable just going and checking it out and then leaving right away. So that's about where we are, the timeline of the fort. It's been opened up to people like ourselves, and Saturday night we were lucky enough to go spend the night there. And Misha was one of the people that were there, so that's why we have you on tonight.
Yes. A night there for the first time.
Yeah, it's different. And I tell people all the time that's been to the fort that you go and visit during the day, how it takes on a whole entire air about it in the evening.
Yeah.
You've been there during a daytime, you've been there during a storm of the century, and now you've been there for a complete overnight. So what'd you think?
It takes on a completely different atmosphere than during the day. Everything's in the dark. We had, what is it? We had, the moon was out, the sky was clear, so we had lighting from that. But,
that's it. When they say lights out, it's lights out.
Yeah. And when you're inside the casements and everywhere else, and you have the equipment off, not flashing photos, not having any of the sensors on, it's pitch black.
Exactly.
I can imagine it was like pitch black when we were there during the day. I couldn't imagine night.
Yeah. And the weird thing was, when we got there, it was still light and things, but it had been chilly. And it's usually damp and chilly inside the casemates.
Even if it's the middle of July and August, it's chilly in there.
Right. Picture a damp basement. And I went wandering around before everything started. Well, everything was still getting set up. It was piping hot. And
yeah, it was.
Of those. Piping hot. You had the smell and that damp odor that you get. And
right.
The damp feel. But you had nothing but hot humidity.
Yeah, which is very, very unusual. Most of the time, as Misha said, and Kim, you were there last year. And when Kim was there, it was literally like 2 days before Hurricane Sandy. So you had tropical storm weather happening, that warm, humid, hardly even needed to wear a jacket type thing. And going into the casemates, we had to bring our jackets and our sweatshirts because it was that cool inside. So, and we just went through a series of extremely warm weather the last few days in Philadelphia. It went, let's see, I think it was, well, you were home, I was away.
It went up to 96 on Wednesday.
I'm sorry. I thought he was getting ready to change his clothes. The cameras on.
Nobody could see it, man. You didn't have to say nothing.
It had been in the 70s. The nice fall, cool, crisp weather was starting, and then Thursday, it jacked up into the 90s. Thursday it had rained. but there was no reason.
Yeah, to be that warm inside. Well, we mentioned it to Lorraine. And Lorraine said normally, because she had contacted me earlier in the day and said, make sure you dress warm. It's going to be so cold because you know how those casemates are. Well, like, yeah, I know. It's cold in the summertime. So we were kind of surprised. So she had stopped over to see us before she left, and we mentioned it to her. And she says, oh, you guys are really going to be in for it tonight. And so, you know, right off the bat, we're thinking we're going to get hit with every kind of activity. We're going to hear, see, smell, everything that you do at the fort. When we go around the first rotation, and it was like, it was a real sleeper. I'm like, here I finally get Misha.
No pun intended.
Yeah. We'll finally get Misha to drive all these roads, because Misha doesn't like to drive these heavy-duty roads to get here, and there's like nothing happening. And that's the last time you ever say anything like that. There's like nothing going on, because then after that, the rug comes out from under you, and all kinds of things are happening. We were fortunate enough to be able to go live, and I want to, before we go any further in the show, I want to thank Mark Sarro. He's the producer for the night, and I want to thank my husband Rick, who was right alongside him, helping him with the cables. And of course, we couldn't possibly do half of the stuff that we do, at least me, without Sal and Jen of the Sal and Jen. They are the best. They can, I don't know how the cables got put where they were, because I'm telling everybody, watch out for the cables. They're all over the place. And I'm looking, where are the cables? They had them running along the ceiling, you know, over doorways. So they made it as simple as possible for us to get around in the dark without tripping over wires and disconnecting things. So thank you guys. You really, really did a great job. One of the areas that has been very active at the fort lately is the powder magazine. And I believe that was your first rotation, Misha?
Yes.
So what went on in there?
It's not much. It was quiet. I ended up putting the ghost box on, and at that point, we heard a little girl.
Okay.
It sounded like a little girl's voice asking for help. Then we asked, you know, if it was a girl. That got confirmed, and a male voice had said she was 5.
Right. Now, meanwhile, unbeknown to Misha, we had a lot of people that were in the chat room viewing the investigation. And people don't realize how much we depend on them, because a lot of times, you know, you don't, with it being dark, you don't really see what's going on behind you. But the IR cameras enable the viewers to see what's going on. And people were typing in, there's something over there to the right, you know, and they're time stamping this for us, so that when I go to review the footage on the DVR, I can concentrate first time around on these particular time areas on cameras that they specify, and see whether or not I can see what they're looking at.
Right.
But there was, I believe it was Patty was in the chat room, and she kept getting little girl, Sarah, 5 years old. And Misha didn't know this. So when Misha came in and she's talking about the ghost box, and she said, you know, there was a little girl, and she was 5 years old. I don't think you got the name, or did you?
No.
Okay.
No. Unless it came up with EVPs, which I have to check.
So it was validation for Patty that she was picking up on seeing a little girl who she got 5 years old, and we're still up in the air about the name. Lorraine's doing research to see if she can find out if there was a little girl by the name of Sarah that was there at that time. But that was, Kim, when you were in the Powder magazine, I know the moment you went to the opening, you were getting experiences. You hadn't even walked in the place yet.
It was the clicking. When we got to the Powder magazine, as soon as you crossed the threshold, there was this weird clicking. And we had walked, I'm standing there going, does anybody else hear this, or am I crazy? Everybody heard it. And I walked to the far back left corner. And there's me, Mary, and Lori all with flashlights. Nothing.
Right.
Get all the way back to the left corner. Look up and it stops. Turn around and there's a dime at my feet. And the flashlight should have hit it.
Right. But weren't you also, it felt like somebody was pulling on your ponytail?
Yeah, when we were walking out, it was like something just constantly picking at my hair.
And you could actually see...
Oh, yeah. No. That's where it felt like someone was pushing on the back of my neck.
Okay, all right. Because I knew one of the places we went into, you were complaining that somebody was messing with your hair.
Yeah.
But as soon as she got in there, you could hear this ding, ding, and like dimes at her feet. Like, there's some quarters so we can get some soft pretzels on the way home. But and that is one of the areas of the fort where it was always like dull. We never really got a lot. But I'd say probably the last 2 years that I've been going there, that has been more active than the casemates.
Well, we had talked to Lorraine about it, and she said that seems to be the hot spot lately, is that powder magazine.
Right. And interestingly enough, we were getting a lot of hits in the chat room of people seeing things in the powder magazine. And that's what I was saying, we depend on them to look at that for us, because sometimes when you're there, you just don't see it. You may feel it, but you can't see it. So it's great to have the other eyes. We had a lot of company in the powder magazine that night, something that was fluttering around. That stopped Misha from going back in.
And what really stopped me from going back in there was that you have to look at it. It's right around 2:12, however many seconds. Something went scuttering across the floor, which was probably a mouse, and I saw that and went,
A ghost
yeah,
mouse.
no, I don't think so.
It was a ghost mouse. You think Albert's going to let anything run around? Speaking of Albert, Kim, he was looking for you.
I saw he was also flirting with Sal. I saw the picture.
I know. Can you imagine that?
Especially seeing Albert doesn't talk to anybody, according to Wayne.
Well, we ended up sleeping in the soldiers' barracks. I think that's the proper term. And some person almost did not have a sleeping bag because Albert took up space there. But he was well fed, and if you were eating something, he let you know he wanted some of it too. And by the way, Sir Albert is the cat at Fort Mifflin. He's been there since he's been about, I guess, 5 or 6 weeks old. And now I think he's like pushing 7. So he literally owns the fort.
Is Gold Cat still there?
We saw him. He
Yeah.
was actually there, yeah. He started to get a little friendlier. He won't let you near him, but yeah, he was there too. So anyway, before we started the investigation, I said to Misha, have you ever been, she didn't get to go in casemate 11. So I said, let's go cruise over to casemate 11.
Yeah,
And then she goes,
Creepy Hollow.
well, I won't go in. I'll go in so far, and unless I'm leading a team, I won't go all the way back. So I said to Misha, I won't go in, but go ahead, I'll stand here and watch you. And she started in there. She got into the first section. She got into the second section. She goes, ooh. She turns around. She says,
I never made it into the
well, I
back.
thought you got like 1 foot up.
I started to, yeah. I never made it in, and I started like I was on a boat.
Yes. And I'm thinking to myself, Kim, please let her make it this far, because I really don't want to walk in there to go grab her, because I know what happens to me when I go in. She's somebody who needed some Dramamine, vertigo issues. And out she comes,
Yeah.
and I go, come on, let's get out of here. But some people do experience that. And
Yeah.
it's I sent earlier tonight, and I know Anita's in the chat room, since we didn't have a camera in casemate 11, and we chose not to because it's such a small area, it's a good way to bang into the camera, send the camera sailing, and then you don't have a camera. So we have enough people that go in there and take pictures. But earlier, before the show, I sent some pictures over to Anita of what the actual inside of casemate 11 looked like, and hopefully she'll share in the chat room there her feelings, even just looking at the picture. I just can't imagine spending that much time in there without any light. I mean, the door was never, it was all closed. I mean, can you imagine? It's just like a big hole in the ground, but it has bricks and cinder blocky kind of stuff. I would go crazy.
You should have had Sal put the camera back in that little bitty hallway.
Yeah, and then we would have been calling 911 to extract him.
No, crowbars work.
Yeah,
Well,
he definitely.
That was the last stop in our rotation.
Yeah, how was it for you second time around?
Chris got pushed.
Ooh.
I made it back. He went first because I'm thinking, okay, after earlier with you, there's no way I'm getting in there.
Right.
He went in, and I felt okay to go in there, and I knew pay attention so that I could get out in enough time. And got a few pictures. Was in there, I don't even think 5 minutes. And I turn around, and I'm headed back out, and I have my foot over the step.
Mm-hmm.
Out. And I hear... And out of my mouth comes, at the, like I was doing, except the feet, losing balance. So I'm saying, are you okay? As Lorianne's saying, what'd you drop?
Jeez.
And I turn around, and he was like kind of hunched over and towards the wall. He had gotten pushed. Had he not been as close to the wall as he was, he said he probably would have went down.
Yeah.
I have been all the way to the back of case.
Oh, well, you know.
Did you?
Braggart.
That's right.
Hey, in my earlier investigative days, I went to the back. I've learned since, if I feel uncomfortable, do not go.
Well, I wasn't paying attention to comfort or discomfort. I was engulfed in reading the walls.
Okay.
So I didn't pay attention till I was all the way in the back.
Right.
And then it's like, well, you're there, you might as well say hi and then get the heck out.
Well, we were discussing that for people that disbelieve anything paranormal. When we left, we were discussing the size of it. It was solitary confinement. And the disbelievers would just turn around and say, it's all in our heads. Because you're there in the dark, it's confined, it's kind of it's not crooked, but it's zigzaggy,
Mm-hmm.
that path that you really go in sideways and need a shoehorn to go into. That zigzags. Not that I know from going in there, no way. That would be one of the excuses, I think.
Well, see,
Yeah.
when
The debunkers would use that it's in our head and we're doing it psychologically to ourselves.
Well, see, when Mary and I were there, the lights were actually on in casemate 11.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
so,
Well, that's because it was daytime and it was open to the public.
right, but what I'm saying is, I still got dizzy back there.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it wouldn't, and like I said, I wasn't paying attention to actually where I was as much as I was interested in reading the walls.
Right, you had a distraction from it.
Right, so it wouldn't be, oh, it's all in your mind, and well, no, because we all know there's nothing in my mind half the time.
Now, that's my saying.
And when we went in the first time, it was still light. It was before the sun had set.
Yeah. But, I mean, it was still dark. And, as an empath, I find it very difficult to go in there because, you know how they say that you leave energy behind? Your energy's always kind of trapped somewhere. And I don't know if it's my feelings going in there of, get me out of here. I don't have problems with small spaces. And I could get locked in a closet all day and wouldn't get us.
We lost your
You can't take that. But that part doesn't bother me. So when I first started to go into casemate 11, I wasn't sure if it was just my reaction of what went on, or was I really picking up energy left behind by William Howe.
Well,
And I don't know, Kim, when you went in there, if you were picking up anything that time.
yeah, you can definitely feel it as soon as you walk through the first door.
Yeah.
And the further you get back, the more you feel it.
Yeah.
And Anita was asking if it was graffiti on the wall, and no, it wasn't graffiti per se. It was stuff William Howe, the prisoner in there, had written on the wall in a pencil.
Yeah. And they have it protected, Anita, so that it doesn't, wear away. But it's his signature. He wrote a little something on one section, and then there's his signature with the date.
Mm-hmm.
And a little bit of history on William H. Howe. And I know, Kim, you know a lot about this more than I did, because when we had Lorraine on, it really intrigued you, the whole story. So if you want to tell everybody about it.
Which?
Well, how he actually was a hero.
Yes, he actually was. He was convicted or whatever, charged with being a deserter, and he was not a deserter. What he had done was he had taken off because his wife and his children were sick, and he was trying to be a husband and father and get home to check on his children. He wasn't leaving per se. He just needed a quick break to go check on them, make sure everything was all right, and then he was going to return.
Well, no, I got to interject just a little bit there. He was concerned because he wasn't hearing anything from his family.
Right.
But after, was it Shiloh or something, the battle that he fought? Right, and he was one of the few that walked away because a lot of people got killed there. But he got a real bad case of dysentery. And he wasn't getting anything from the hospital that they had there helping him. What had happened was he decided, him and a couple of his buddies decided, well, let's go home, get healthy, and come back. Plus, his kids or somebody, I think they were sick, somebody had gotten sick, and he was worried, so they decided to go there. So in the process, go ahead, Kim, it's all yours.
In the process, they caught him and drug him back and threw him in the hole as a deserter.
Yeah.
And he actually wound up being hung on the property where the grass won't grow.
Yeah, there's a spot in the center that no matter what Wayne does, and Wayne Irby's the caretaker, he can't grow grass. And they found out after all those years that that's the exact spot where they hung William H. Howe.
Well,
and they used him as an example. They sold tickets for people to come and watch him get hung.
For something he technically didn't do.
No. I think his charge besides deserter was murder, because the people that went to go get him,
right,
they were banging on the door during the middle of the night, and it wasn't him, but I don't know if it was a neighbor or somebody else. We should have had Lorraine on here tonight too. She knows the facts. Shot and killed one of these people.
Yes.
And he got accused of killing, so they put murder on there too. And here the poor guy just wanted to get better from having a bad case of dysentery.
And check on his kids.
Yeah. But he did try to, and here, remember I was saying that, I'm always finding something new and different. He actually planned an escape out of Casemate 5 with like 200 other prisoners.
Yep.
And he got caught. They ended up sending him, he spent time at Eastern State Penitentiary for a while. And then they brought him back to Fort Mifflin where he was hung.
Yeah, poor guy.
I mean, I think solitary confinement for 2 days would have been enough punishment and crime.
Well, he was down there for a long while.
Yeah, he was. He was. But
he was down there, I think, for 3 years.
I can't. I don't know the exact time.
It was a ridiculous amount of time he was down there.
Yeah. There's a lot that's spoken during the Civil War era of the fort, because the casemates are so popular. And Sal is in the chat room of Sal and Jen, and hopefully he can help me out with this. But in Casemate 5, the approximate size, I'm not sure, and Sal, if you can maybe post on how large you would consider the inside of Casemate 5, they had like 250 prisoners in there. I mean, we're talking stand-up only, packed in like sardines.
And wasn't it set up like, casemates 1 through 5 was in the same cave area.
Yeah. Well, you had
And
one.
wasn't it the harder criminals? The hardcore criminals were put in 5.
Actually, I think 5 held. Oh God, if Lorraine's watching, I get this wrong. That may have been the Union soldiers. I know casemate 1, I think, had Confederate, and so it went. And the Union soldiers got treated worse than the Confederate because they were the deserters.
I had gotten told it was order of how bad your crime was. 1 would be the less, the minor thing.
Yeah. And it could be, but I do know that they were well overpacked. And as you can see, especially in casemate 1 and in casemate 5, the only source of heat they had was this fireplace. The others didn't even have a fireplace. And they were, casemate 5's like on the outside wall. So can you imagine being there in the wintertime? And there's openings. A lot of suffering went on there. And like I said, the Union soldiers, they got treated the worst. I mean, if the other ones ate slop, God knows what they were eating because they were deserters and they got kicked around a lot. So it wasn't a fun way to be. But getting back,
that moisture in
yeah.
there. Actually, after we got out, it kind of reminded me of like body sweat and just body filth.
Well, before that storm of the century hit, they had bunks in there, and the Boy Scouts actually sleep in there, and they'll light a fire. So usually, as a paranormal investigator, we all sit on these bunks, and we do a very long EVP session. And a lot of times, just like when we were there Saturday night, and I do believe we have Chris and Lorianne in the chat room. All of a sudden, if you get real quiet, because I know at one point I said, shh, be quiet for a second. You could hear like chains dragging out in the hallway or the corridor, whatever you would call it. Boots, walking. And that's when we went out and I was trying to get some pictures to see if I could get something there. And you were drawn to casemate 3.
To casemate 3. Well, because when we were there last September with you, my parents went.
Right.
And casemate 3, my mother couldn't get past the very first bunk. Saturday night there was only 2. I think last September there was 3.
Right.
She only was able to get maybe a quarter of the way in, and she couldn't move. And we were all trying to get her in. So we, that had my attention because my mother was like, I wonder why. See if you can find out. But actually the strange thing was, I wasn't even able to go in, enter any of the rest of them, but stand there or reach my arm out and just snap pictures from the door arches. And on the way out, when we were done in casemate 5, I got stuck and I couldn't leave.
Well, let's back up.
Outside of 3.
Well, let's back up just a little bit. So I said to Misha, move aside. Oh, I'm going to go into casemate 3, okay? That's going to stop me from going. I got about 3 foot in, and it was like I hit a wall. I'm like, I can't go any further. I wasn't moving. So I back up, and Chris and his wife came, and they said, well, let us go in. And they're in there walking around taking pictures. And I stepped back, and Misha was to my right, and I'm almost up against the wall of the hall there. And I'm playing around with my camera, looking to see if I was able to get anything, looking down the hallway there. And I could see a man walk in front of me. I saw his feet in his pants and go that way. And I looked up and I saw the back of him. And I'm like, maybe that's Chris. Wait a minute. Doesn't have the long hair. I said to Misha, where's Chris? Is he still in there? Yes. I said, something just literally walked right by me. So Dan, I go to casemate 1 to go take some pictures. She starts to follow me. She gets stuck. Go ahead.
I could not move. And as it's registering, I got my phone out and I am not moving. Oh my God, I can't leave. No. But, not being able to go into one of the actual casemate cells was one thing. Not to be able to get out of the whole place was like, whoa.
Kim, can you see me contacting you and Eric? I'm sorry, but Misha can't do her show Wednesday night. She's stuck in a casemate.
Throw her some bread and water, she'll be fine.
Yeah, what the heck? We can see if we can run an internet cable. You can do the show from the inside of one of the casemates.
We already had the cameras in 5. I could have just turned around and went back into 5.
If she was in the number 2 case space, she probably needed to be in the number 3 or 4 case.
She was in 3.
Oh, they probably need to be in the 4 or the 5th one.
Well, we got her out and everything worked out. But everybody spent so much time, during the Civil War era, because that's when the casemates were very popular. According to my timeline here, it went through the American Revolution, pre-Civil War. Pre-Civil War was rebuilding it because, like I said, it was totally pummeled to the ground. The Second World War, they actually used it towards the end. The Army used it as a, let's see if I can say this right, meteorological, I said it wrong, observation point.
I'm not going to be able to say it because she did it.
I know. Misha, help us here. Two of us can't say it.
Meteorological.
You got it.
Oh, good girl, because I sure as heck didn't get it. Give her a cookie. It was also during the Second World War, an anti-aircraft guns defense. It actually protected the Navy Yard and the ammunition storage depot. So it's done a lot, and many people are still there to enjoy it, and that's why the Historical Society and Fort Mifflin, the people that work there, they push very, very hard to keep it preserved, because you've got the airport right next door, and the Philadelphia airport is probably really jonesing on getting that property. So it's important that we keep it alive because of the history. So Kim, I know that you were able to just catch a couple minutes of the investigation. Was there anything that stuck out?
Well, the fact that you were running around in a bikini, but
I like cold weather. I was auditioning for the Polar Bear Club.
I thought
do the back thingy, in the moat.
I thought you were auditioning for the Rockettes.
Yeah, that too.
Well,
hey, look, there's just...
there's the bog frogs. Well, you were telling me something. I'm not going to be real sure what it is because my brain's not working. Something about a lady screaming?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
That
was when we were done with the pairing off, and a lot of them had gone to bed. And It was Mary and I at the monitors watching the cams. And we were discussing the fact that when we were in the powder meg, we picked up the little girl being 5. And Mary was telling me somebody in the chat had seen and picked up 5-year-old girl was getting the name Sarah. So she picks up the phone to call her on the phone to confirm what we had gotten at the same time. She finishes telling the story that we heard a little girl yelling for help. She's 5. And she's ready to hang up with the person. And all of a sudden we hear a blood-curdling female voice yelling help. As if it was right out on the other side of the wall in front of us. Mary's like, on the phone, somebody just screamed for help. The ones that are roaming around are in the office building. And
right, we had it was definitely a female, and it was a very loud help, and the first thing, Misha and I looked at each other, did you hear that? And Chris was standing behind us. Did you hear that? Yup. Where's your wife? She was already in her bunk. I'm looking on the cameras, and all the other females were accounted for, okay? So I wasn't worried about any of them. So we went outside to go look around because it was just so clear. And it occurred to me, now Kim, didn't Lorraine say that everybody hears this woman screaming and crying
Yep.
from the officers' quarters?
Yep.
Well, this definitely did not come from the officers' quarters because Sal had his equipment up there, and Mark put a microphone up with the camera attached to his equipment. So if it was coming from the officers' quarters, everybody in the chat room that was watching and listening would have heard it, and nobody responded. When I came back and I looked at the chat room, so I type in there, I said, hey, did anybody hear a woman scream help? And the only one who really heard anything was Anita, and she heard a very faint sound of a woman. So it's kind of telling me we may have debunked that screaming woman for help up there in that officer's quarters, because this was actually, we were, you know, the room where they have the displays?
Yes.
It's right next to, that's where we were set up with the equipment. And that's right next to the soldiers' barracks. And trust me when I tell you, it sounded like it was right outside the window.
Well, didn't Lorraine actually say that what they're calling the officers' quarters wasn't? That the officers' quarters was behind it and it had burnt down or something? So maybe it is coming from the officers' quarters, not
Yeah,
now,
I mean, a
but-
lot of it has changed from the original plans. And if you go and read up about it on the Wikipedia, I mean, it's been updated and there's a lot of new and interesting facts. So who knows? It's been changed around so many times. But it was definitely one of the loudest, pitiful helps I've ever heard in any investigation I ever did.
Yeah. And then, well, what was it? An hour, 2 hours later, we heard the same voice scream again.
Yeah.
Yeah, because she had said that a lot of people, because of a particular TV show, started calling that the officers' quarters. She says, but it wasn't. It was behind it, and that's where the families had stayed, was actually behind that building. So
Right.
if it was a lady screaming from the officers' quarters, technically it would be, if it was
Yeah.
far enough off.
Right.
Well, one of the things that we did different this time than all the other times that we've been at the fort is we actually placed a camera, an IR camera, inside the bakery. Well, we had it labeled kitchen, but it was actually the bakery. It's probably one of the few places people would rather go into.
We didn't.
So, well, we did, but
Did
the
we?
bakery, that is the room that is literally right before you go into the casemates. It's on the right. It's
Oh, okay.
attached, okay, where that big flagpole is.
Right.
And I never use it as a rotation because everybody wants to go inside the casemates.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to go to the officers' quarters and the powder magazine and casemate 11, and you just kind of run out of time. So what I've been doing the last few times that I've been setting up these investigations there is I stop at a certain time with, as Misha had said, we do these rotations with, you know, I'll give you a half hour, 45 minutes, take a break, and you go. And after they're done, you have, like for an overnight, you got the rest of the night free roam. Just don't free roam by yourself. I always ask people to go with somebody else. So we all ended up going into the bakery. And Anita was seeing a lot of stuff going on there. And so I went in, I drug Alicia, and her and I went in there to do a rotation ourselves. So I'm really anxious to look at the DVR to see exactly what goes on there. You know, I mean, I was trying to watch it while, you know, Mark and I were taking turns because we always want to have somebody manning the monitor and of course the chat room. So I got to do a lot more investigating than he did. But you know, when I was sitting there, you know, you're just watching and you're trying to see. So I can't wait to review that camera to see if we were able to pick anything up that's different. Because like I said, we very rarely go in there.
And that's where we were when we heard gunshots or what sounded like a cannonball. You had gone back to the monitors, and we went up to the top to look so we could look out all directions to see if there was anything that the noise
Right. I mean, the whole group of us, we were in the bakery, and we had been in there for a while, and you just hear this boom, this crash, and then there was a second one. So of course everybody goes running out to look, but what they were looking for is they wanted to debunk it because you're right along the Delaware River. Could it have been a ship? Okay, somebody thought maybe it was a car backfire, but Kim, obviously you know how far back we are from the roads. Are you possibly going to hear a car backfiring there?
No. Not unless they're in that business parking lot right across the railroad tracks.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, we're talking like 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah,
no, there was nobody. So we weren't able to debunk. They ended up climbing up the hills all around and up on the walls of the fort. I went back to the monitors. But that was just something we couldn't debunk.
Did you do any investigations in either the stables or the commander's house?
I didn't personally. I know others did. I didn't get to go all the places that I wanted to because, like I said, Mark and I were, relieving each other, for the.
What about the ladies' bathroom?
The bathroom? Oh, Misha's got some stories about the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Everything had settled down. Saljan and Mark had gone over to the second floor, I think. And everybody else besides Mary was in the sleeping area, in bed or sitting at the fire. Mary was at the monitors. So I went out, sat down, getting some fresh air, sitting on the bench outside the door. And I hear heavy men boot footsteps down at the bathroom. I'm just sitting there and I'm looking down and I'm just thinking, okay, somebody just came out of the bathroom. Their footsteps are headed my direction. And I'm sitting there and I'm waiting and I'm thinking, okay, they're not using a flashlight at all. I wonder who it is. And I'm thinking, nobody went to the bathroom, and I should have seen them if they did. And I'm waiting for them to walk down, and they're not walking down. I was able to get a shadow up from the knee down, so I saw the legs.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, it
blacked out at the shadows of the night because it was so dark. And instead of coming straight across, they turned into the exit to leave.
Right. Well, that's the kind of stuff that we were seeing all night. So.
And I got up, I went into the sleeping quarters to make sure everybody was in there that I thought was in there, and they were. And then I went over to the monitors. Mary's looking up to see who's coming in when the door opened, and she saw the look on my face.
They were all accounted for, that's for sure.
I said, where's Sal and where's Mark? And she said, I'm looking at them on the monitor. I said, they've been in there for a while. She said, yeah. They didn't go to the bathroom? She said, no. I said, okay, that's what I thought. And she said, why, what happened?
Well, before you go any further, we're going to have to leave everybody hanging with that thought because we have 1 minute to get out of here because we have a new show that's on after us.
Yes.
With Lily.
And the other good part, I finally was able to get my hands on Mary's book.
There you go. Well, Misha, thank you for joining us, but most importantly, thank you for being part of the team on Saturday night. It was fun.
Thank
All
you.
right. Well, we got to get ourselves moving. Kim?
Yes.
We have another great show next week.
We do.
Yes, we do. Do you know who we have coming on?
Carl Johnson.
Got it. Well, anyway, we have to rush. We don't normally rush out of here that soon, but we have a brand new show coming on after us with Lily, and please stay tuned and listen to her show because it's going to be very interesting, and I hear a little bit on the strange side.
That's right, because we've added a new mistress to Mondays. And with that,
that's right.
We are getting here. Night.
Good night.
2013, and my co-host went AWOL for a few minutes, so you're just gonna have to deal with me. We are discussing a trip that was made this weekend to a lovely little fort, the fort that saved America, Fort Mifflin. God, that makes me dizzy. And we are joined this evening by our guest, Misha. Hi, Misha.
Hi, Kim. How are you?
I'm getting dizzy with these glasses on. So, did you guys have fun?
We had a ball. Perfect weather. Couldn't have ordered better weather. Especially considering the last time we were there and what happened. It was a fantastic time.
Yeah, I'd like you to notice that I wasn't there last time when the storms came, and
Yeah.
I wasn't there this time, but it was lovely weather, so it's not me.
I never said it was you.
You did too on your show. It's recorded, woman.
I never called out names.
Yes, you did.
Did I?
Yep. It's all Kim's fault.